Hey guys, this is Jimmy and we're back out on the Appalachian Trail. We're actually at Rome Mountain Campground. You can see the beautiful creek right here beside us, and we've got some met just a couple of days ago, or some hikers that I'm getting ready to film and introduce to you, and let them tell us a little bit about themselves, show you their tent and stuff like that. So we're just going to get right to it, and we get started here. I'm going to get him and tell us his trail name. Give us your trail name.
Hey, it's No Doubt.
No Doubt. Tell us how you got that name.
No Doubt. I got that from a couple in Miami, and I hope they see this because I've never been able to contact them. And they gave it to me on a section hike I did in the Smokies about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And I fully adopted it later when it kind of fit my personality. So anyway, so that was I got it from a couple in Miami.
And No Doubt you're through hiking the Appalachian Trail this year. What caused you and what made you want to do that this year?
You know, I don't know why I picked up the book, but I read Dennis Miller's book, AWOL on the Appalachian Trail, and it was a good read. I enjoyed it. I'm not a big reader, so for me, just I don't know what encouraged me to pick up the book, but I said, you know, I can do that. And I had already planned to retire when I was 66, so I put the place 3 years ago, a little plan to, you know, buy equipment, try a few section hikes and see if I could do this thing. And lo and behold, here I am, 400 miles from the finish.
Yeah, and got a good smile on your face.
Yeah,
you got a good attitude about it.
Had a good day today.
Let me ask you, your planning then was about a 3-year time frame?
For me it was. I bought gear initially so I could go out and do my first section hike, which was in the Smokies, and again about 2.5 years ago. And then as you know, equipment evolves, and then as I decided to try to get lighter, I've chosen more equipment or different equipment, and so it's been a process, but here I am, and going to the finish line with what I have.
Somebody that's watching that's thinking about doing it like you, the process of buying that and doing it, share with me a little bit how important you think that is to somebody to give some pretty good thought to what they're going to buy.
Yeah, sure. Good question, Jimmy. I started with the YouTube videos and just Googled gearless, AT gearless, and I just went to see what were the so-called experts recommending, and you know, it's across the board. There's quite a few diversion, but you start to see. So I started to see some you know, common names coming up. You know, a Big Agnes this or a Osprey that or whatever the numbers were, and they've changed through the years, but I kind of followed what people before me had done and gained from their experience, and then, like I said, switched to the YouTube videos and listen to people talk, and then, you know, and price is an issue. It's you know, everybody's going to have their own budget.
That's right.
You can't go out here with you know, top of the line equipment. So you know, and I chose the conventional REI type ways of doing things, but
okay. And we're going to look at your tent and some in a few minutes, but before I say that, you're doing a flip-flop this year.
That's correct, yeah.
And what caused you to do a flip-flop versus the northbound?
You know, last year I went to the Flip-Flop Festival to check it out. It's in Harper's Ferry every spring. It's the kickoff for the flip-floppers to take off, which is the conventional flip-flop from Harper's Ferry up to Maine, and then back to Harper's Ferry, however they get there, plane, train, or automobile, and then back to Springer. So when I sat in on it, you know, it made sense for me. I could escape those cold winters in Georgia and North Carolina, or the springs, actually March, February perhaps. Escape some of the crowds perhaps. It fit me weather-wise and perhaps personality-wise. And yeah, it was a good choice for me, and I'm still glad I did it.
Now, because I was up north when the flip-floppers were starting to catch some of the northbounders, did you get into that situation to where it almost got to be a bubble or not? Did that not ever...
No, it wasn't a huge bubble, but I certainly was, you know, there were times, and some of the log jams were not even necessarily the bubble. They were combinations of maybe the long trail in Vermont. There were certain bubbles. Then you had the southbounders coming down. So the bubbles per se were not the huge thing that I thought they would be.
Okay.
I never got really log jammed. A few times, you know, get to a shelter, be a little packed, but I didn't get the log jam. Where that happened, I don't know, but I didn't experience it.
But you started in what date?
I started April 10th at McAfee Knob near Roanoke.
So yours is a different flip-flop than a lot of people, so that may have affected where the bubble was with you.
Yeah, now, but I started earlier also.
Yeah, you started earlier. So when you got up there, were they kicking off then, and was that when the biggest bubble about the time you got
Right.
I mean, I'm asking, do you think that was...
Actually, I timed it so that I would get there about a week after that bubble left.
Okay.
So the Harper's Ferry bubble was about a week or two at the most in front of me.
Well, that's good information, because you see, people need to hear what you're saying, because there may be other people that say, you know what, instead of starting at Harper's Ferry, I may do like what these guys are talking. So the benefits of doing that, first of all, I've heard you say weather, the difference in the weather. The other would be possibly a bubble situation. What are the benefits that you can think of off the top of your, if any, of why doing a flip-flop other than that?
Again, I think my personality, and not to take anything away from Northbound, and I have no idea because I haven't experienced it, but I wanted to stay away from the bigger crowds, perhaps maybe some of the party atmosphere. That, you know, I'm up in a few years, so wasn't looking for that. So I think those three things combined were pretty much a decision maker.
Now the tent, what's your tent?
I've got a Z-Pax duplex. I like it. I just got it this year. Changed down to it. I use my trekking poles for the stands, and there's only 21 ounces, so you can't get much lighter. And again, I was trying to get down to a better base weight for my trip because. You know, I want to go as light as I could.
And that's a two-man tent.
Yeah, I need the room.
Open up a little bit. Just pull it back a hair. Just let them see what you got. You got your. Now, what type of mattress are you?
That happens to be this time. It's a Big Agnes.
Big Agnes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a Big Agnes. That's correct. It's a Big Agnes pad. It's worked well. It's kind of something that I've swapped out. I've played with those things a few times. But
what about your sleeping bag?
Sleeping bag is an Enlightened Equipment quilt. It's a Revelation quilt, 20-degree quilt. Been great. Love it.
What kind of money is something like that?
That one is really relatively expensive. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say about $250,
oh, wow.
which isn't bad for a down quilt.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good buy.
Kept you comfortable.
And it was comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a good deal. So other equipment, I've got a Z-Pax pack. The Arc Calls brand, I just got that out this year, and very happy with the pack. Some of the accessories broke down a little early for me. I'm hard on equipment, so I'm not blaming the equipment, but I had some little accessory pouches and stuff that started to fail.
And that would be normal.
Yeah, I think there's just wear and tear. So,
now, in the beginning, I asked you your name, and I'm going to ask you, and I'll explain to you after. Spell it how you want it to see spelt under your face.
Okay, if it was No Doubt, it would be capital N-O, second word, capital D-O-U-B-T.
And that's why, that's one of the ones to make sure we do.
It's just, exudes a little positiveness and not just in a positive attitude, but the belief that perhaps, there's a power out there looking over me.
Hey,
that's what I'm about.
Well, you're talking to one that believes that more than anything else, and that's the reason I'm out here.
Yeah.
God gives me the opportunity to come out here and meet people like you and see nature. Like, hey, we've had pretty days, haven't we? Even y'all had rain today, but y'all had a beautiful day. Y'all had a great day. We met y'all yesterday.
Yeah.
In fact, we met you the day before yesterday on the back of a pickup truck getting trail magic from people that you had met or she had met, Sally had met. And then so we met y'all at Walnut Mountain Road yesterday. And as you come out, give you something to drink. And then about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I asked you if you wanted to slack pack the next 10 miles.
And Sally Forth was all over it. And I wasn't far behind.
We're going to talk to Sally.
I've known her a few days and I tease her a lot.
Yeah,
so
we're going to talk to Sally in just a minute, but yeah, it didn't take her long to say yes, I'll slack back. It took you a couple of minutes longer, but but it's been a good time meeting y'all and all.
You're a very, I'm not saying this for the video, but yeah, you're a very generous man, and I appreciate you and CJ both who've had a good time and taking advantage of this, and it's been a great couple of days. Tk you so much for that.
Do you have a time date that you're close? Do you have a time date you're trying to?
Originally, I have a grandson turning 3 on October 30th, and I was hoping to be done prior to that. But it's probably not going to happen. So I'm going to actually delay it a little bit. So I'm after that. Let my family do the celebration home with my grandson, and then they're going to come up and help me at the finish line. So we'll do the last mile together. My 2 daughters, my wife, and my son. Coming to join me a mile before Springer. So I'm looking forward.
Tell me how you keep a positive attitude.
It's a daily contact with, again, a higher power I choose to call God. Yeah, it's a daily contact, and I have some great friends. There's people on the trail with positive attitudes. Stick with the winners kind of thing. I try to.
That's a good quote. Never thought about that. Stick with winners.
People who have that same attitude, it'll rub off on you. Those days when you may be down a little down, they'll bring you up, and vice versa. So we help each other out, I think, that way. We can't do this alone.
So you say stick with the losers, and you'll be a loser, right?
Yeah, birds of a feather, they say, right?
Stick together.
I don't know.
Now, tell me your hardest time on the trail. Can you mentally, or spiritually, or physically?
One was my hardest day was a bad rain in the Shenandoahs. I made it to a Wayfair, but it was 40 degrees, horizontal rain, 35-mile-an-hour gusts on the mountains, and that was a tough morning. Fortunately, we got a ride. God advised. We got a ride off the trail at noon and got to a motel, got cleaned up. So it turned out to be great, but the morning was tough. And then I think as we got through the Whites and really into southern Maine, I started to get beat up. A little bit. The trail was kind of kicking my butt, and you know, some bad falls, and nothing that kept me off the trail. That was good, but certainly I had my challenges, and they kind of wore me out mentally, physically. I lost confidence, I think, in my ability to climb down some of those descents for a little while.
How did you get it back? How did the confidence come back?
Actually, just better trail.
Okay.
You know, you get to better trail, you get a little confidence back, and you just grow slowly. You know, the way we gain it, the way we lose it, it's all gradual.
Right.
It's never, you know, an automatic thing. But yeah, I really.
Well, no doubt. Did you ever have a day or any number of days that you felt you were close to quitting?
No, never.
Okay,
no.
good.
There were days I wanted to get off the trail.
That's a difference.
I wish the road was a little closer, you know, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
I had enough for today.
Absolutely.
No, never once.
Never had a time that you was real close that you almost went home.
Never did.
That's interesting because that's a low percentage of people that answer that.
Yeah.
And I'm tickled to death to hear that, and I'm glad that the other people hear that about you.
And again, support, you know.
Well, that's the other question I had. How important is the support group back from home and everywhere?
No, it's immense. My wife wasn't totally in favor. I got a little vision disability, so she thought for my own safety that maybe I shouldn't do this. But it didn't take long. She got on team, no doubt, you know. And but I had guys that surprised me. My co-workers in the office where I retired, they had the big bulletin board with the map on there, and sending me pictures of them with pinpoints in there where I had been as they followed me on my tracker. And you know, guys that surprised the heck out of you doing things that you know, you wouldn't expect. And a lot of support from text messages and friends, and quite a bit actually. And it'd pick you up. And you know, video of my grandchild, that always is a great pick-me-up, you know. So
now, I know you're a humble person, just being around you a little while. Do you mind me mentioning your disability?
No, I don't mind. It's and actually I wish I had done more. I said this to someone just a week or so ago. In the last few months, my vision disability is macular degeneration. I have the dry condition, for those who know, and it's also coupled with geographic atrophy. So my retina is deteriorating. So it affects my central vision. I don't read well. I don't see blazes well. I don't see faces well. So it's a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a problem. But I've worked through it. And I wish I had done more, maybe with the Macular Degeneration Foundation or Lighthouse of the Blind, of, you know, maybe, you know, ahead of time setting something up, working a blog. And I kind of missed that opportunity, but
well, you got this chance, and I'm glad that you're bringing it up.
That. Yeah,
that
you know,
you're an inspiration. You're going to be an inspiration to a lot of people that see this, though, no doubt.
I don't want to play the victim card.
I know that. I know you are. I know that. But I think it's important for people to see that you still can come out here and do things with some disability.
It's amazing what we can do when we put our mind
to it.
And, you know, again, trust a little bit that it's going to be okay, and I do. And you can't be foolish about it. Know your limitations.
Right.
I think I do. You know, sometimes I push them to the limit, taking my falls.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I'm, you know, again, 400 miles to the finish.
Yeah, and less than 400 right now.
Less than 400,
anything that's happened to you on the trail that you might want to share, that you might think that people might want to hear, that and if not, that's okay too. But I'll just give people sometimes it's something that they've done or heard or seen or something.
No, I think if I was just to synopsize the whole thing, two things come to mind. Is A, I'm glad my body held up, because that's the thing we have don't have a lot of control over.
Okay.
You know, we have accidents, we have things. So the fact that I've gotten this far without the major accident, the major, you know, tendon problem, etc., I'm very fortunate for that. And just how much, again, I've got to go back to the fact that when you're kind of down, or maybe you need a little pick-me-up, you know, you need somebody to help you get through a tough navigational area.
Sure.
You know, people show up. You know, God, I always say when I pray to God, you know, for help, God sends me people, and that's been the case.
I agree. I totally agree.
People stepping, you know, and the generosity. I think if I had to encapsulate it again, people like yourself, the generosity of the community outside of the trail is incredible, and then of course the generosity and the fellowship within the trail. So it's really about the people.
Yeah.
I saw a speaker last year, and I think you knew his name. I'd forgotten it, but he said, you know, if they asked him if he had any regrets, he said he wished he had taken more pictures of people, and I can certainly see the merit in that.
Well,
that's what I'll remember most.
Well, no doubt, it's no doubt. I know you're going to finish, and I know that you'll be a great witness for the trail, and you'll be an inspiration to a lot of people. Another couple of questions I want to just bring out, a couple of things. Have you ever met a thru hiker prior to you thru hiking? Did you know anybody that had completed the Appalachian Trail?
Yes, I did. My first section hike, and God bless her, I met her again at the hostel in Millinocket. It was Sprinkles.
Sprinkles, okay.
I was on my first section hike, and I'm a day or two in the woods, and again, wanting to learn, wanting to figure out if I could do it. And I ran into Sprinkles taking a guided tour of, or a guided expedition with 4 or 5 other hikers who paid her to take her through the Smokies. And I met her, and I asked her so many questions, I must have drove her crazy. So I didn't hike with her per se, but I ended up in the same spot, and yeah.
So that experience, do you remember if you were impressed with her or what?
Oh yeah, very much so. Very knowledgeable, very easy to talk to. Again, the eagerness to share.
I want to center in on how impressed you were of her, because I want to know if you've ever thought about how many people that you're going to be the first person that they've ever met that's hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, well, that'll
Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't, but I have friends at home who have sons or grandsons that are interested in hiking the trail, and they've called me, and I'm able to have the conversation. How did I go about starting it? What do I think? And as they evolve and they get ready to make their trip, if you will, hopefully I'll have been of some help in that process of them getting there. So
you will. You're going to be an inspiration to other people that do it, and it's going to only because of what no doubt did that somebody else does that. I just want you to really comprehend that, because I'm proud of you and my wife and everybody that's ever done it, because y'all are part of the future, because you're help building the confidence for somebody else to do it, in the future. Man, I'm grateful that we met them. Okay, I've got another Appalachian Trail through hiker here with us. We just filmed No Doubt, and the lady that's hiking with him at the moment, we're getting ready to film her, and she's right here by that same creek. That's her tent down there. We're going to ask her about that tent, and here she is. We're going to get her name. Give us your trail name.
Sally Forth.
Tell us how to spell that.
Sallyforth.
How did you get that name?
My first night on trail, I got to the shelter, and there was a guy there named Time Zone, and he and I were talking, and the term came up, Sally Forth, which means to go forward in a brave and confident manner in order to do something difficult. And I told him that I liked it, and that I felt like tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to sally forth, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and see how far I get. So the next people that walked up to the shelter, he said, "Hey, my name's Time Zone, and this is Sally Forth." And so I kept it, and it has been a good one.
That's a cool story. That's a cool story. I'm glad I didn't ask you until I cut the camera on. I knew your name, but I didn't know how you got. How long had you been thinking about doing the Appalachian Trail?
5 years. I heard about the Appalachian Trail and looked at it and knew it was going to take 6 months, and just got it in my head that I wanted to do that, and so I decided to give it a go. I knew that my son would have to graduate high school in May of 2017, and I could start hiking the following year, so it's been in the works for about 5 years.
What's your son think about you out here?
Now he thinks I'm a badass, finally, after 1,800 miles.
Okay,
He's beginning to think I'm going to do this thing.
Wow, wow. Did he ever talk about coming out and hiking with you some, or has he hiked with you on the trail?
He talked about it. He talked about coming out here a couple times, but just our schedules have not worked out. He's working on a boat on the Mississippi River, and they have 30-day hitches, and it just hasn't worked out scheduling-wise.
Sally, where are you from?
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Right. We're real close to Louisiana. We've been talking about the southern stuff for the last day or two out here. How many people from Mississippi that you know that's hiked the Appalachian Trail?
I don't personally know anyone that has hiked the Appalachian Trail from Mississippi. I've met a couple people out here who are from Mississippi. I hope they finish this year.
Now I'm curious, what's the nearest town that you live to? What's your mailing?
I live in Philadelphia, Mississippi, which is near Meridian.
Yeah. Does anybody in Philadelphia, don't y'all have a little newspaper in Philadelphia?
There is a newspaper in Philadelphia.
Has anybody contacted you about maybe an interview or anything?
Hadn't heard a thing.
You need to let them know. Let somebody know. And they probably would like to know that there's been a woman that's from their town that's done the Appalachian Trail. You really do. You need to contact somebody and just say, "Hey, somebody mentioned that I might need to contact y'all." I think they would do a story on you. I really do.
Maybe.
What about your tent? Tell us about your tent.
I have the Nemo. It's the Hornet 2-person tent.
Hornet 2-person tent.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they say 2-person, they just really mean a generous 1-person
Yeah, they
tent.
do. Yeah. A person or a little bitty chihuahua.
Yes.
Yeah. My wife had a 2-person tent, and of course I've got in it a couple times with her, but Yeah, they're very conservative when they
Yeah.
use these numbers on this thing. Has it been a good tent for you?
It's been a good tent. I stay dry in it, and I haven't blown away, and it's been a good tent. And it's, you know, it weighs a little less than 2 pounds. It's
Okay.
pretty lightweight.
Hey, I didn't ask No Doubt, and he's still over there by the table, but how many days do you think you've hiked in the rain this year?
Oh, good grief. A bunch. It's just been a wet year.
You know, I asked a guy that was about this mileage going north, 1,800 miles. I asked him how many days, and he looked me square in the eye, and he said probably 10. I said probably you forgot a lot of them.
You forgot a
It's
lot.
a lot more than 10
It's a
days.
lot more than 10.
It's a lot of rainy
My
days.
feet are wet a lot. My
Yes.
socks are wet a lot.
Yeah, y'all got wet today a little bit.
A little bit.
What caused you to do a flip-flop hike versus a northbound or southbound?
Oh, originally I thought I was going to do a no-bow hike, and then I heard about the flip-flop from somebody else, and I started looking into it and found out they have the flip-flop festival. And the more I looked into it, the more it made sense for me. I could start a little later. I wasn't going to have to start in February or March. I could wait till April to start, and I wouldn't have the time pressure to get to Katahdin. I'm not a really experienced backpacker. I'm not a backpacker at all before I did this. So I didn't know if I could make it on time. So that took a lot of pressure off of me for getting to Katahdin.
See, that's interesting. I'm glad you said that because I'm trying to make a list of the reasons to flip-flop versus the reasons not to flip-flop. We know people talk about the weather, like No Doubt talked about, not being with the bubble. But the reason you just said is important, to take that worry off of you if you're not going to make it and have to flip-flop anyway later in the year.
Right.
You already have that off of you because now you've summited way before you needed to.
Right.
Okay. Now what about, do you have a time frame that you'd like to be through? I mean, you're close, but did you have a time frame when you started?
You know, I took a 6-month leave of absence.
That's right, you told
so
me.
I was shooting for 6 months. It's going to wind up being about 6.5. At this point, I've done the math, run the figures, and if I average 14 miles a day, I can finish by November 2nd.
And you're in the
that's what I'm
nursing
shooting.
field, right?
Physical therapy.
Physical therapist, okay. And you've already talked to them. I think they're going to work that out with you.
They're gonna work
We
that.
thank them on camera for helping you and letting you that. If they watch this, thank you for letting her have the opportunity because they're participating in the Appalachian Trail by helping you.
That's right.
What about other friends or relatives? What did they think about you when you mentioned that you're going to go hike 2,100 miles?
You know, you get the gamut of responses. You get the people that think you're crazy.
Yeah.
You get the people that think you need to take a gun.
Yeah. What
get-
size gun are you taking anyway? I didn't even ask you.
What size gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the nil size gun.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing.
So you don't have a 742 or 30-06?
No, I didn't pack my 38. I
Okay,
didn't.
good deal. Okay,
Didn't.
glad to get that out of the way. Have you seen very many guns out on the
I
trail?
have not seen a gun,
Hey,
and
Jen.
I don't ask people either. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're carrying a gun, I don't want to know because I bet you didn't get a permit for all 14
Right.
states.
Okay, good deal. Now, what's been the hardest part of being out here?
Oh,
Mentally, physically, just what?
well, some days it's a real physical challenge, but really it is mentally. The mental game is the hardest part of it. I've gone through several hiking partners, and all my hiking partners have wound up going home. The only one I knew was going home. I hiked the last 2 weeks with a Nobo who was going to finish at
Oh,
Katahdin.
okay.
So I knew that he was going to go
They
home.
was finishing their hike.
Yes, he was finishing his hike. I knew he was going home. But the rest were all, you know, they gave up,
Okay.
or they got hurt, or they were just, you know, various reasons that they didn't make it any further. And it was always a surprise.
Really?
So then you hike for a period of time alone. And that plays on you for a while, especially in the White Mountains. I was in the White Mountains for a while by myself, and it's really challenging. And I mean, there's no way to explain to people how hard that is until they've done it.
We talked about that off camera yesterday.
Yes.
But now that may be a disadvantage on flip-flopping, not to have somebody, as many people close to you.
Well, when you're going northbound, you start to see more people. I mean, of course, you see other flip-floppers.
You see northbounders catching
And
you.
northbounders are catching you.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Right.
So you do see more people going that way. But even when I mean, there were plenty of times that I was hiking up something all by myself. Then I thought, well, one false move and I'll plunge to my death. And
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah. Do you remember the day that was physically the worst day for you?
Oh.
Was it in the Whites?
Yes. There were 2 really physically hard days. One of them, I had my hiking partner at that time, and we bit off more than we could chew. We decided to do the Wolf Peak and both Kinsman Peaks in the same day, and it was raining, and when we got up on South Kinsman it was sleeting sideways. It was horrible. We had our full pack, we weren't slack packing, so we did that whole 17 miles, and I mean, we didn't know that we were going to make it, but we did. And then the other hardest day that I had was coming down Mount Madison.
Yes.
Coming down that northern side of Mount Madison.
A lot of butt sliding.
Yes.
Yeah, getting down. Now, what's your biggest mileage day?
My biggest mileage day is only like 22 miles. I'm not like a really...
Y'all hear that? Only 22 miles. Only 22 miles.
Okay, but people are crushing big miles out here. And I've done a 22 mile day, but I don't do them regularly.
But that's a lot of miles.
I can do 20. I don't like 20. I like to keep it around 15.
15.
That's pretty comfortable.
Have you done any night hiking?
No.
Okay.
I've done a couple of days before dawn with my headlamp, but you know, only like 30 minutes. I don't try to do that too much.
Okay. What's the most interesting thing that's happened to you out here? Can you think of something that kind of jumps out at you that you saw or heard or run into or something like that?
It's just crazy. The craziest things that happen are always people-centered, and you know, you'll be hiking along, you'll see somebody, and then you won't see them again, and then 800 miles later, there they are again. And sometimes it's a day hiker that shows up 7 states away, and sometimes it's a hiker that just passed you or you passed them and they turn up again. And how does that happen? I don't know.
It's interesting how you meet people and all of a sudden you think you'll never see them and walk in a store, and here they are.
And there they are.
Walking up to you. Sally, how's your pack? What kind of pack are you carrying, and has it worked well for you?
I am carrying the Osprey. I guess it's an EJA, EJA, and it works pretty well for me. I like it. It's a little bit lighter than the Aura. It doesn't have the hip pockets, so I just carry a fanny pack instead.
Oh, and I'm glad I'm looking at your pack, because you're carrying a not a Spot, but something like the Spot.
Yeah, I got the Garmin InReach.
The Garmin InReach, and we were just talking about that. And y'all was telling me that you think maybe up to 40% of people you see are carrying something like that.
It's a pretty high number, yes.
Yeah, and I know the biggest reason is to let family know where you are, so they don't worry about you as much as you're worrying about what's going on with you. But so when you get finished and go back to work, how hard do you think it's going to be adjusting to not be living out of your pack and living in the woods?
I like to think I'll manage that okay. I'm really not an outdoorsy person. I'm kind of high maintenance anyway, and I think I'll do all right. I'm okay staying in a hostel and doing all that stuff. Are
you planning on giving up anything?
I am planning on I'm giving up a lot of stuff.
Downsizing?
Cleaning out my closet, downsizing. I want to sell my house.
Did that develop while you're through hike?
I kind of knew before I started the through hike that I wanted to sell my house. But I mean, this sealed the deal. I don't need all that.
Okay, good. What else have you learned out here? Learned about yourself, or learned about life in general?
It is unbelievable. I have learned that I have more in me than I ever thought I had. I did not know. And I know a lot of people get out here and they have less in them than they anticipated they had, but I definitely have more than I knew I had.
You got more confidence?
I have a lot more confidence.
You got more strength than you thought you had?
Holy cow. I have a lot less weight than I started with. About 10 or 15 pounds is what I've lost.
Okay, well,
which is not what, I mean, these guys are losing
45
60
and 55 and 60 pounds, yeah, so this is a good weight program. Come on out here and lose a pound.
That's exactly right.
Well, hike with me and lose a pound every day. Did you give very much thought to finances? Budget?
Of course. Yeah, I gave a lot of thought to finances and knew that I was going to have to save up and have enough in the bank to pay my mortgage while I'm gone and do all that stuff.
Without mortgage or any other outside monies, how much would you suggest to somebody that said they were going to through hike next year and they were a kid out of high school living with mom and daddy, but how much would it take you once you get on the trail?
Oh my gosh. You know, I wouldn't. I'm high maintenance again.
I understand.
But I think you know, $1,500 a month.
Okay.
Because
I think you're right on
You're
target.
going to spend more money than you think.
I
And
know.
I know a lot of people say it's $1,000 a month. Yeah,
That's
I
not
think
true.
it's more than that.
I agree with you. I'm glad you're saying it. That's why I'm asking you on camera, because I think there's some bad information. You can do it for $1,000, but you're not going to be enjoying it.
Right, right. And you're going to be missing the pizza and beer when
Right,
everybody goes
right,
to town. And
right.
you're going to want a shower and a hostel because it's been raining for 6 days.
Okay, I know what else I wanted to ask you, and I forgot to ask, no doubt. How much trail magic have y'all gotten on the trail this year?
Oh, it's been...
A lot?
I haven't really seen a lot. It seems like I miss a lot of the trail magic, but we've seen a decent amount of trail magic. It's just been
Further
really...
up north, more north, or further you got south, or?
As we were going north, and the Nobos were catching up to us, and so there were more people, we began to see a little more.
Okay,
Yeah.
but lately, in the last 3 weeks?
Since we flipped, I mean, honestly, Ibex and No Doubt and I, we all said that, we would hike for 3 days at a time and not see a soul.
Not
on
even a
trail.
person, much less trail magic.
Yes, trail magic was not happening.
Okay.
So we were so excited when the three of us could hike together and
Yeah,
have
it
a
did.
good time.
I was trying to remember how long it took for you to say, do you want to slack pack the next 10.2 miles yesterday?
Oh,
How long do you
like
think
a
it took you?
nanosecond for me to say yes. I'm
Yeah.
always up for a slack pack.
And how many times have you slack packed this year, do you know about?
A lot.
I did? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I've probably slacked packed probably 50 to 60% of
Well,
the
did
trail.
you have to work that out, or did it just somebody happen to come by to let you and help you?
Some of both. When you get to a hostel, sometimes they can slack
Right,
pack you
right.
a pretty good ways.
Right,
Or you'll hear of something that's going on up the trail.
right,
And sometimes you just get lucky, and that's why I keep my own slack pack. Then I
right,
can
yeah.
just throw all
Yeah,
my
you got
stuff
that
in my
little one
pack
like I've got that
yeah.
weighs, what, a few ounces?
a few ounces.
That's
and-
smart, and I'm going to start advising people that I'm pre-hiking to get one of those, because they don't weigh anything, they don't cost hardly anything.
That's
And
right.
that way, if you get a chance to slack pack, you've got it already.
That's right.
That's
I can
good
just hand somebody my big pack and take what I need and go.
All right, we've run a little long. I don't usually do this long, but that's okay. You're giving some good information. But do you want to share anything with anybody out there, or say some final words before we close?
Oh, come out and do it. Just give it a try. Even if you don't make it, you're still going to learn a lot and be better for it.
Okay.
It's the most amazing thing ever.
Hello to anybody back home or work, or somebody you want to say hello?
Oh, gosh, I would say hello to everybody in Mississippi. It's pretty awesome. We need more Mississippians out here.
There you go. Come on out, Mississippi, and join the crowd. Well, listen, we're glad we met you, and congratulations on what you've done. Congratulations on completing, because I know you're going to. And we look forward to eating supper with you tonight and spend a little bit of time maybe tomorrow morning with you. God bless every step between here and Springer.
Oh, and God bless you.